Hey guys, welcome back. This is a quick video response to the Button Mappers community question for the month of November. They wanted to ask if the Nintendo 64 was a good console or a bad one. To me, it's a very easy answer because I was a huge Nintendo 64 fan, both back in the day and up until this day. I think even though the N64 may not be on par with the amount of games that, for example, its immediate competitor, the PlayStation 1, had. I think the Nintendo 64 definitely took the quality over quantity phrase into account, and in my opinion, it's one of the best, I guess, systems in terms of the quality of Nintendo first-party games. It's not without its flaws. I think the hardware itself posed some problems. I know some people are not big fans of the controller. I personally don't mind it as much. I always had no issues using the controller, but I think the cartridge-based system created some problems for developers in terms of them being able to easily develop games on the N64. That was kind of one of the issues, and also some memory limitations, which the PS1 obviously handled that better with the CD media. They were able to have FMVs, cinematic opening movies and sequences in their games. So that definitely hurt the Nintendo 64. So those are kind of like the cons. But as far as the positives, I see it as one of the most important systems out there, in the sense that Super Mario 64, for example, it's one of the most influential games of all time. It was a mind-blowing game back then, having that freedom of moving Mario pretty much anywhere you wanted. It was something amazing to experience back in the day. And speaking of influence, one game that I also want to mention is GoldenEye 007. I think it's one of the most influential console first-person shooters of all time. I remember being completely mind-blown with GoldenEye. Was kind of like the first game that had objective-based systems. It gave you a list of objectives and you were supposed to do those. So I really enjoy that in GoldenEye 007, and with a good reason. That game, back then was top-notch and one of the best first-person shooters, again, in consoles. And lastly, speaking of influential, we cannot, talk about the Nintendo 64 and not mention The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which, as you guys know, it is my favorite game of all time. But trying to speak about that game from an unbiased or neutral point of view, no one can deny the influence of that game. And there's a reason why that game is, I believe, to this date, is still probably one of the most, if not the most, highly rated game of all time. It's just such an influential game that really set the pace for modern mechanics in games from that point on. So I can go on and on. I think the last major positive that I wanted to emphasize is the ability to have couch multiplayer games. The Mario Party games, the wrestling games. WC versus NWO. All those games were really fun. The Nintendo 64 was just perfect for couch multiplayer. It had the 4 controller ports at the front of the the system, so it made it really easy to just call your friends, your neighbors, and have a good time playing multiplayer games like Mario Party, GoldenEye 007, Perfect Dark. There are so many great multiplayer games on the N64, and so for me, it's an easy, it's gonna get a thumbs up for being a great and fun console to play with friends and by yourself as well. So thanks again for the question. Hopefully you guys have a good one, and I'll see you all later.